Hi guys, so welcome to my video. My name is Addie Wieland and I appreciate you guys tuning in today. I just wanted to chat a little bit about sexual assault, which I know is a very intense topic, and so definitely a trigger warning that I'm going to give right now. But I really just wanted to touch on some things that have been on my mind and that have been bothering me. I've been reading Chanel Miller's book, which I really recommend. That's called Know My Name. If you don't know Chanel Miller, just Google her. She's amazing. She's a survivor of a sexual assault by Brock Turner, who was in the news as who is a convicted rapist, but also a I think Harvard or something swimmer. Regardless, it's just kind of about her journey and her story. And I recognize a lot of similarities with her journey and with a lot of the survivors that I work with in terms of my clients. I just wanted to come on today and just talk to the people who are loving and supporting these survivors of sexual assault. If you know someone, which a lot of people do because it's actually quite common that we don't even know about. So if somebody comes to you and tells you about that they were sexually assaulted in whatever way, these are just some important tips that I think you could use to be a comfort to them, and also things not to say to them. So the most important thing you can do, of course, is just listen, just be there as a supportive person, just to kind of hear them out. You don't have to even say anything. If they respond well to physical touch and they like that, you can put your hand maybe on their hand or hug them. Some people aren't about that, so you'll know the person, right? So you'll kind of know what they prefer. And really just listen. You don't have to ask a lot of questions. You don't have to ask a lot of details. Whatever they want to tell you, they'll tell you, but you don't have to just ask all of these questions. And you're not an investigator. That's not your job. Your job is just to listen and be supportive for that person. Trust me when I hear you, when I say if it's a son, a daughter, or a child that I'm mostly talking about adult victims or adult survivors of sexual assault right now, not actually children. But yes, of course, if it's a family member or someone that you really care for, I know it's going to be hard for you to not ask questions, and I 1000% get that. But the problem is when you start to ask all of these questions to someone that has experienced sexual assault, it just can feel very intrusive. Maybe they can get the message that you don't believe them. They might feel like you're questioning certain things that maybe they did. Just try as much as you can to not ask a lot of questions and just take the information that they give you. Of course, I think it's okay to say, are you physically okay, or is there something we need to do to kind of make sure that to check you physically? I think that's fine. The less questions, the better. Some really not helpful things to say are, well, why were you wearing a certain outfit? Why were you drinking at a person's house that you didn't know of? Why didn't you yell, scream, or fight? Why didn't you call for help? That's just not helpful. That is really, really just not helpful. So please don't do that. What people, I think, struggle to understand, which I totally get because you wouldn't know this unless you've learned about it, right? Is that when something traumatic happens to us, like trauma, we go into that fight, flight, or freeze mode, and it's actually much more complicated than that. But baseline, this part of our brain, which is the smartest part, the part that you use to make good decisions, to say, I'm not going to, do this because it's going to lead to this. That part, the part that you use to communicate, the part that you use in school, that part is turned off when we're in that terror mode. It's just not accessible because we need to conserve all of our energy to figure out how to survive. So you're in this back part of your brain, the brainstem. That part is very, very important, but not super forward thinking, and is very kind of black and white. And that part of the brain just really takes over the body and just makes a calculated decision of what's going to keep you safe. So if you are 120 pounds and your assailant is 200 pounds, your brain makes a calculated split-second decision that there's no use fighting and running, because you're not going to, this person has 100 and something pounds on you. There's no way you're going to get away from them. So it literally just shuts down and kind of goes into this freeze mode. It's actually called like a thing called tonic mobility. So a lot of survivors will talk about how they couldn't, they felt like they wanted to scream, but it literally wouldn't come out of their mouth. They felt like they wanted to move, but they physically couldn't because they were frozen. It's this thing, an actual thing, a scientific thing, a biological thing that happens to your body in order to protect itself. So survivors already feel a lot of guilt and shame because they look back and said, why didn't I do this? Why did I do this? Why did I do this? So when they come out of something like that and people are asking them questions, or to the very worst, don't believe them, especially you see this in law enforcement. So please, law enforcement, don't do this. I understand that you have a job to do, but understand how the brain works before you start asking these questions would be my recommendation for you, especially if you work with sexual assault survivors. It just is more shame and blame. And to kind of steal, I guess, the words of Chanel Miller, you know, when we actually believe survivors and what they tell us, amazing things happen, right? Books are written, laws are changed. These are her words in her like speech that I love. But what we do is just kind of pepper them with stupid questions, and then they get worse, and you know, they start developing symptoms, kind of all this stuff. So my PSA for today is just, when someone that you love comes to you and talks to you about any type of sexual assault, all you have to do is say, I love you, I'm here for you, I don't even know what to say, I'm so sorry that you went through that, thank you for telling me, I'm gonna be here with you no matter what. Period. That's all. Write that down. Don't ask questions. Don't ask why did you do this or this or this or this. None of that matters. All you have to do is just be there for them and listen. And if you are a survivor of sexual assault and feel like you're not feeling heard by your family members or other people, I just want to tell you that it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And just because people might not understand how the brain and body works, there is nothing more that you could do. Your body made a choice, and that's what happened. You couldn't have had some amazing superpower where you can fight off this person or run super fast. It doesn't work like that, like in the movies. It's not your fault. If you feel like it's your fault and continue to kind of struggle with some, you know, PTSD symptoms, please reach out. I'm happy to connect you with a therapist that can best kind of match your needs, and I can link stuff down below for that. But lots of good resources out there. Read Chanel Miller's book. I'll link her her acceptance speech because it's beautiful. She won like Glamour Woman of the Year. But my PSA for today. Okay. Well, I hope you guys have a good week, and of course, just comment below if you have any questions, comments, respectful, of course, all that good stuff. Thanks, guys, for listening. Appreciate it. Bye.